There's something about people who teach in adult education, I think. I don't know if it's because they're often the same age or younger than the students in their class, or the fact that they often feel a great empathy. They might come from the same background or same town as the people in their class. But I think there's something special about people who teach in adult education. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think there's a number of factors. People tend to teach the thing they love.
And not to an exam.
Yeah, and not to an exam. So they teach something that they're passionate about, whether it be a language, whether it be an art, whether it be a social science, whatever it might be. They are there because they want to do it. So there's a passion that comes through. I think the other bit is, what you've hit on, is that I'm actually a peer. And therefore I can't rely on hierarchy or authority.
Use of power in a very obvious way.
And I can do that with a 8-year-old or a 17-year-old. 17-year-old, it gets harder, but you certainly can't do it with people who are older and wiser than you in a lot of other ways in terms of experience. And so therefore you actually have to find different methodology. You have to, it's much more of a democratic approach. It's a much more of a collegiate approach.
And shared enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Because often the tutor will be enthusiastic and passionate about their subject. And of course the students are all there because they want to be. And they're enthusiastic and passionate.
And I think that's it, is also knowing that, you know, the group, you haven't had them dragooned in there. They're there because they want to be, and they can also be there, they can leave if you're not good. And actually it means you haven't got a captive audience. So you are enthusiastic, you're teaching in a democratic way, you're enjoying it, etc. You've also got that little bit of an edge of going, yeah, they might not come back next week unless I'm really on it. So for me, adult education teachers, and that's why I think you and I both keep our hand in, it's a great fun. It's stressful because you know that they're judging it. But then again, 8-year-olds judge people, they just don't, you just don't know it.
I think another challenge, but I think that makes it more interesting and more diverse, is that you have such a range in your class. So it can range from someone who's new to the country, whose English may not be great, who perhaps can't read or write in English very well, through to somebody, particularly at City Lit, I think, who's hugely well qualified with PhD, professional qualifications. And it's about meeting the needs of everyone in the class.
And I think we talk about differentiation, we talk about a lot of the lore and legend of our profession. But actually, when you are presented with a group, and I've actually had a class where the age difference is 70 years between the youngest and oldest in the class, that's actually keeps you on your toes, I'll tell you, which is great. So, you know, when I come out teaching, you're usually exhausted but exhilarated at the same time. And I think that's what you see about, I always talk to our tutors when they're roaming in between classes, and they're there because they want to be there. And they're there because they really have something to communicate and want to pass on their language, their art, their craft. They are wanting to get somebody else involved in that and pay it forward. And you never know, you might end up with somebody doing it terribly successfully and taking it on as a new career. So we've had students who've come as a hobby to do jewellery making and have then actually gone on to be very successful jewellers, packed in what they were doing before, which they hated. Andrea Levy, who obviously the Booker Prize winner, she talks about the fact that what she trained for at university is nothing that she does now, and yet her time at City Lit gave her so much more that was attuned to what she wanted to do in life, which was to write. And I kind of said to her, so I said, yeah, but honestly, Andrea, could you not just locked yourself up in the loft and made your fabulous, and written your books like you should do.
As you do.
And she went, no, if it hadn't been for City Lit, I would still be doing the worker drone stuff that I was doing before, because it was the peer feedback.
It's the wealth in the classroom.
It's that we're in this together piece. So it's the trick for good teachers in our profession is to actually facilitate. I've said many times is, in a good class, you'll learn as much from the person next to you as you will from the person at the front of the class. Now that actually relies on the person at the front of the class to give that
the most
time
of the
and
wealth
space
in the room.
to be able to do that. And for me, that kind of sense of bringing people together. I love by the fact that my kind of American politics and history students, you can see them in the cafe and knowing at the beginning of the term they didn't know anybody, and then before the class they're all sitting there having a cup of coffee plotting to bring me down and overthrow me, is just marvellous. So I think we are different. We're a different breed.
And what about other education principles? You are one, I was one. Are we different?
Oh, I think we are. I think we're freaks of nature in lots of ways. No, joking aside, I think you can't do what we do without a real passion and a love for the call. It is the calling. You might not necessarily know it's a calling when you start, but you definitely you just get drawn into it.
And we'd fight to the death for it.
Oh God,
I think
yes.
we virtually have.
Yeah, no, I think for me it's that, you know, what else can you do when you leave a building at the end of the night and know that literally thousands of people's lives are that little bit better at the end of the day because of what your institution does? Now, you're not doing it all, but you're helping make sure it happens, making sure it's still got the funding and
there's still a roof.
It's still a roof, yeah, exactly. That the drains work. That's the other bit. When you started with your job description, did anybody ever tell you you'd become an expert on plumbing of your building and everything? Everybody thinks principals, we sit in this sort of lofty...
I'm an expert on 18th century buildings and how to keep them up now.
Yeah. I'm the expert on Covent Garden drainage. Because we had all sorts of problems, and you just get to know this stuff. It's never in the job description. I'll do one last little story about we had big drainage problem, and so the whole college is we've got 3,000 students coming in one night at the beginning of December. I'm thinking that I'm going to get off a little bit early that evening, so I'm about to leave. The head of premises and the duty manager come up to me and goes, all of the toilets in the building have backed up, and we haven't got any water, and it's too late to send out an alert to all the students because everybody's going to be arriving in 10-15 minutes. What shall we do? I'm like sitting there going, yes, because I'm a world authority on drains. And so we get Dynarod out, we do all of this stuff, and then I phoned my partner 3 hours later, having not turned up for dinner and having had many, many missed phone calls. My partner's American. And I phoned up and sort of said, well, what have you done? And I said, well, we phoned Dynarod. And he goes, you phoned Diana Ross? And I go, yes, we've got a Motown diva sorting our plumbing out.
Well, at City Lit, that's probably not too
it's
far.
It's true, yeah. Diana Ross comes around regularly with a plunger. And that's the life of a principal.